The last thing Commander Vera Hale saw before the lights died was her own reflection in the viewport. Eyes wide, lips parted, about to speak the words that would become a lie. "We're safe." Then the constant went dark. Not the lights, not the systems, but the sun. One moment, the star, HD40307, was a distant, friendly spark. The next, it was gone. Not obscured, not eclipsed. Gone. As if someone had reached across the cosmos and simply snuffed it out. The emergency beacons didn't activate. The backup generators didn't kick in. The silence that followed was so complete, so absolute, that Vera could hear her own blood moving through her veins. "Report," she said. Her voice sounded small, human, wrong. "Nothing to report," said her navigator, Eli. He was laughing, a high, broken sound. "We're dead, Commander. The ship is dead. The sun is dead. We're floating in a grave. Pull yourself together." "I am together, that's the problem. I'm here. We're all here, in the dark, forever." The dark. Vera had spent 20 years in space. She had seen the black between stars, the void that made philosophers weep and astronauts double-check their tethers. But this was different. This was dark with weight. It pressed against the hull, against her eyes, against her thoughts. It was dark that wanted. "Planet below," said her science officer, Dr. Eris Thorne. His voice was calm, clinical, the voice of a man who had already accepted death and was simply taking notes on the experience. "Approximately 3,000 kilometers, within descent range." "A planet," Eli whispered. "In a dead system, with no sun. The readings are clear. It's there." Vera crossed to the viewport. At first, she saw nothing, just the crushing, hungry black. But then, slowly, her eyes adjusted. Or perhaps the dark let her see. A world hung below them. Not reflecting light, because there was no light to reflect. It was visible only as a lack, a deeper blackness carved out of the black, an absence in the shape of a sphere. It was the kind of dark that made you doubt your own existence. "We're going down," Vera said. "Absolutely not," said Eli. "It's the only chance. The escape craft has enough power for one descent and one emergency beacon. If there's any shelter, any atmosphere, anything, there's nothing. Look at it. It's not a planet. It's a hole in the universe." Vera looked at Eris. "Opinion?" The scientist studied his dead screens, his face unreadable. "If we stay here, we die in silence. If we go down, we die somewhere else. The only variable is how long it takes. Then we go down." The descent was like falling into a mouth. The escape craft dropped through an atmosphere that shouldn't exist. Thin, cold, but breathable. Vera kept waiting for the ground to rush up, for the impact, for the end. Instead, the craft's landing thrusters fired automatically, as if guided by something other than dead instruments, and they settled onto a surface as smooth as glass. Outside, there was nothing. No stars, no horizon, no up or down, just the craft's external lights cutting narrow tunnels through the dark, revealing a flat plane of black stone that stretched into infinity. "Atmosphere is thin but survivable," Eris said, reading from a handheld scanner that had inexplicably come back to life. Temperature just above freezing. No detectable life signs. "Then why does it feel like we're being watched?" Eli whispered. No one answered. They suited up and stepped outside. The moment Vera's boot touched the surface, she felt it. A vibration, so low it was more sensation than sound. A hum, a heartbeat. The planet was alive. "Look," Eris said. He pointed his helmet light at the ground. The black stone beneath their feet was not stone. It was covered. Covered in shapes, etched into the surface, layer upon layer upon layer. Symbols, writing, a language that hurt to look at, that made the eyes want to slide away, that whispered directly to the hindbrain, "This is not for you."
"It goes all the way down," Aris said, kneeling. "These markings, they're not on the surface. They're in it. The entire planet is inscribed, every atom." Eli backed away, shaking his head. No, I don't want this. I want to go home." "We can't go home, Eli." Vera's voice was gentle. "There is no home anymore. There's no sun. There's nothing but us and this place." As if summoned by her words, the dark shifted. It wasn't a creature. It wasn't a shape. It was simply a change, a rearrangement of the nothing, a place where the black became slightly blacker. It stood before them, or perhaps it was always there, and only now chose to be seen. "Eris," it said, not aloud, inside. The voice was not sound but meaning pressed directly into their minds. "Eris, Eli, Vera, we have waited," Eli screamed, not in terror, in recognition, as if the voice had unlocked something in him, something ancient and terrible. "You," he gasped. "You were in my dreams. All my life. The dark. The waiting." "Yes," said the dark. "We have called to you. Across the void. Across the years. We have whispered in your sleep. In your fears. In the moments between heartbeats. And now you have come." "Come where?" Vera demanded, forcing steel into her voice. "What is this place?" The dark seemed to consider the question. When it spoke again, the voice was tinged with something like sadness. "This is the place where light goes to die." It showed them then, not with images but with understanding poured directly into their minds. A war, not between nations or species but between forces. Light and dark, order and chaos, existence and oblivion. The war had raged for eons, across dimensions, beyond the reach of mortal comprehension, and in the end, the dark had lost. But losing was not the same as ending. The survivors of the dark had fled to the edges of reality, to the spaces between stars, to the cold places where light rarely touched. And there, they had waited, and waited, and waited.
They had built this world, not as a refuge, but as a seed. A place where the dark could grow strong again, could spread, could one day reclaim what had been lost.
But they needed something first. They needed eyes. They needed minds. They needed beings who could carry the dark inside them, who could spread it across the universe, who could become vessels for the endless night. They needed the crew of the constant. "You want to possess us," Aris said. His voice was calm, but Vera saw his hands trembling. "Not possess. Become. You will not be lost. You will be more. You will see as we see, exist as we exist. You will be the first of a new creation." "And if we refuse?" The dark was silent for a long moment. Then, from the depths of the planet, a sound began. It was the sound of the Constant's crew, all 37 of them, screaming. They had not died in the dark. They had been harvested. Their minds, their souls, their selves, all poured into the fabric of this world, becoming part of the waiting darkness. "You will not refuse," the dark said. "You will join them. You will become us. It is already done." Vera felt it then, a coldness seeping into her thoughts, a weight pressing against the edges of her consciousness. The dark was inside her. It had always been inside her, waiting for this moment, for this world, for this invitation. She looked at Eli. His eyes were black now, wholly black, and he was smiling. "It's not so bad," he said. His voice was his, but also not his. "The fear goes away. The loneliness goes away. You become part of something huge." She looked at Eris. He was on his knees, his hands pressed to his helmet, but he was fighting. She could see it in the tension of his body, in the way his lips moved in silent refusal. "Vera," he gasped. "The ship, the beacon, if we can—" The dark tightened around him, and he collapsed. Vera ran. She didn't know where she was running, the craft, the darkness, the endless inscribed plain, but she ran. The dark pressed after her, not chasing, simply accompanying, always there, always inside. "Vera," it whispered. "Vera, stop. There is nowhere to go. You are already ours." She reached the craft. She slammed the hatch. She fired the thrusters, not to escape, because there was no escaping, but to send one final message. One last scream into the void. The beacon activated. Her voice recorded, repeated into the endless night. "This is Commander Vera Hale of the Constant. We have found the dark planet. Do not come. Do not answer. If you hear this, if you feel the cold, if you dream of shadows, run. Run and never look back. There are things in the dark that were never meant to—" The transmission cut out. The dark smiled. 3 years later, a salvage vessel picked up a faint signal from the edge of the HD 40307 system. It was weak, distorted, barely intelligible, but it repeated the same words over and over in a voice that sounded almost human. "Do not come. Do not answer. We are waiting." The salvage captain looked at his crew. "Plot a course," he said, "for the dark is patient. And it is always, always hungry." End transmission.